Hi guys, and welcome to my channel. This is Ashley Hale with Level Up English, and today we are going to focus on how you can pass your IELTS exam with amazing results. In this lesson, we are going to focus on what is IELTS, the structure of the exam, and how to improve your speaking, writing, reading, and listening. If you are wanting to get a good grade for your IELTS exam, then continue watching this video. Let's start with what is IELTS. The International English Language Testing System, IELTS, measures the language proficiency of people who want to study or work where English is used as a language of communication. It uses a 9-band scale to clearly identify levels of proficiency, from non-user band score 1 through to expert band score 9. There are two types of IELTS exams: IELTS Academic or IELTS General Training. The IELTS Academic test is for people applying for higher education or professional registration in an English-speaking environment. It reflects some of the features of academic language and assesses whether you are ready to begin studying or training. This approach is widely supported by the institutions that recognize IELTS. The IELTS General Training Test is for those who are going to English-speaking countries for secondary education, work experience, or training programs. It is also a requirement for migration to Australia, Canada, New Zealand, and the UK. The test focuses on basic survival skills in broad social and workplace contexts. Both versions provide a valid and accurate assessment of the 4 language skills: listening, reading, writing, and speaking, and the total test time is 2 hours and 45 minutes. Let's talk about the test format. First, we will look at the listening part of the exam. This section is 30 minutes long, and here you will listen to 4 recordings of native English speakers and then answer some questions about the recordings. The first recording is a conversation between 2 people set in an everyday social context. The second recording is a monologue, which is a recording of just one person speaking, and they speak in an everyday social context too. The third recording is a conversation of up to 4 people set in an educational or training context. And the final recording, number 4, is a monologue on an academic subject, like a university lecture. The assessors of the exam will be looking for evidence of your ability to understand the main ideas and detailed factual information, the opinions and attitudes of speakers, and evidence of your ability to follow the development of ideas. Here are some things that you need to know about the listening part of the exam. From January 2020, the word sections was changed to parts. So the test is now divided into part 1, part 2, part 3, and part 4. There are a variety of question types used during the exam. This includes multiple choice, matching, plan or diagram labeling, form or note or table, flowchart, summary completion, and finally sentence completion. Each question in the exam is worth 1 mark. Please remember that this is an English exam, so when you are writing your answers, you should make sure not to misspell words, and you should pay careful attention to your grammar. Next, we are going to look at the spoken part of the exam. This part of the exam is 11 to 14 minutes long. The speaking section assesses your use of spoken English. Every test is recorded. For part 1, the examiner will ask you general questions about yourself and a range of familiar topics such as home, family, work, studies, and interests. This part lasts between 4 and 5 minutes. For part 2, you will be given a card which asks you to talk about a particular topic. You will have 1 minute to prepare before speaking for up to 2 minutes. The examiner will then ask you 1 or 2 questions on the same topic. And finally, for part 3, you will be asked further questions about the topic in part 2. These will give you the opportunity to discuss more abstract ideas and issues. This part of the test lasts between 4 and 5 minutes long. Now, let's look at the written part of the IELTS exam. We will look at this for both types of IELTS exams. So we'll look at the academic IELTS written test and the general IELTS written test. Let's begin with the academic written test. It is 60 minutes long and topics are of general interest to and suitable for test takers entering undergraduate and postgraduate studies or seeking professional registration. There are 2 tasks. For task 1, you will be presented with a graph, table, chart, or diagram and asked to describe, summarize, or explain the information in your own words. You may be asked to describe and explain data, describe the stages of a process, or how something works, or describe an object or event. And for task 2, you'll be asked to write an essay in response to a point of view, argument, or problem. Responses for both tasks must be in a formal style. Now, let's look at the general IELTS written exam. This exam is also 60 minutes long and topics are of general interest. There are 2 tasks. For task 1, you will be presented with a situation and asked to write a letter requesting information or explaining the situation. The letter may be personal, semi-formal, or formal in style. And for task 2, you will be asked to write an essay in response to a point of view, argument, or problem. The essay can be fairly personal in style. Finally, we will look at the reading part of the exam. The reading section consists of 40 questions designed to test a wide range of reading skills. These include reading for gist, reading for main ideas, and reading for detail, skimming, and understanding logical arguments, and of course recognizing writers' opinions, attitudes, and purpose. The reading part of the exam also differs according to whether you are doing an academic IELTS exam or a general IELTS exam. Let's begin with the academic exam. This test is 60 minutes long and this includes 3 long texts which range from the descriptive and factual to the discursive and analytical. These are taken from books, journals, magazines, and newspapers. They have been selected for a non-specialist audience but are appropriate for people entering university courses or seeking professional registration. The general IELTS reading exam is also 60 minutes long and includes extracts from books, magazines, newspapers, notices, advertisements, company handbooks, and guidelines. These are materials you are most likely to encounter on a daily basis in an English-speaking environment. And this is everything you need to know about the IELTS exam. Next, we are going to focus on how you can get high scores for each of these parts. We will start by focusing on the spoken part of the IELTS exam. Let's get started. I've been a teacher for a few years and have extensive experience on helping students prepare for these exams. Most students are confident in reading and writing, but worry about their performance during listening and speaking. Today, I'm going to teach you how to conquer these fears and conquer the spoken part of your IELTS exam. For the interview, you can start with the following questions, and then your interviewer will ask you some follow-up questions. Remember, this part of the exam focuses on fluency and accuracy, so feel free to practice your answers before the exam. Number 1, describe your family. Let me provide you with an example answer. I live with my parents and my younger sister. My parents are quite strict and they are very hardworking. My father is a doctor and my mother is a teacher. My little sister is in primary school and she would like to be a teacher when she is older. Number 2, tell me about your childhood. Where did you grow up? I lived in the same place for my entire life. I was born and brought up in America, and I have lived in the same home since I was born. It used to belong to my grandmother, and my parents moved in with her when she got really ill, just before I was born. Number 3, what have you studied and what would you like to study in the future? I have just completed my degree in psychology and I hope to study my master's in psychology in the future. I am inspired by famous psychologists such as Carl Rogers and Erik Erikson, and I hope to someday be as influential as they are. Number 4, what do you do for work? I have a part-time job at a local bookstore which helps me to pay for any extras while I study. For now, I am a full-time student. 5. How do you spend your free time? I spend most of my free time with my family, especially my little sister. We are always doing art and craft activities together. On other days, I enjoy hanging out with friends at restaurants or spending time on my own swimming and reading. Next, let's revise some idioms that may come up during the exam. 1. Burn the candle at both ends. This means work or study both early and late. During exam time, I usually burn the candle at both ends. 2. Draw a blank. To forget something you actually know. I knew most of the answers, but unfortunately I drew a blank during the exam. 3. Moment of truth. Time when you learn if you have succeeded. And now for the moment of truth. 4. Knuckle down. This means to focus and work hard. It's time to knuckle down. 5. Rise to the occasion. To successfully do something difficult in the moment. I was so proud of her when she rose to the occasion. 6. Hit the books. This means to begin to study. Exam time is approaching, so it's time to hit the books. And for the next part of the spoken exam, let's focus on how to successfully summarize a text. 1. Read the text carefully and make sure you understand what you are reading. 2. Take note of the keywords. 3. Decide what information is important and how it is connected. 4. Leave out unnecessary words or information. 5. If you need to summarize what someone said, don't forget to use reported speech. And finally, here are some tips for fluency during the spoken part of your IELTS exam. 1. Practice makes perfect. Practice the speaking formats that will be on your exam. 2. Give a good first impression. If you will be interviewed, present yourself professionally. 3. Don't forget to listen. This can be more difficult when you are nervous. 4. Avoid rambling. Take a deep breath, collect your thoughts, and then start speaking. 5. Prepare to explain yourself. Be ready to state reasons and defend your ideas. 6. Practice natural pauses. Use native speaker rhetorical markers like, well, so, What I mean is, and those are your markers. 7, take 3 deep breaths before beginning your test. This will calm your nervous system. And there you have it, a quick lesson with tips on how to ace your IELTS oral exam. Now let's move on and focus on the written part of the IELTS exam. This part of the exam focuses on the student being able to strategically use formal language for writing a short essay. It's usually based on an opinion. Let's start by looking at the transition words that can be used as you write your essay. Remember, transition words are words that show the relationship between sentences or paragraphs. To show contrast or differences between ideas, we can use the following 3 transition words: although, nevertheless, despite. If we would like to add information, we can use the following transition words: moreover, in addition, and furthermore. If we would like to summarize an idea, the safest transition word to use would be therefore. And those are the transition words that can be used as you write your essay for the IELTS written exam. Next, let's look at the vocabulary that should be considered as you proceed with your essay. 1. Contrast. This word refers to a striking difference between 2 things. 2. To contrast. This means to talk about the differences between 2 things. 3. Refute. To refute means to prove something wrong or false. 4. To summarize. This is to give a brief statement of the main points. 5. Thesis statement. A thesis statement is one sentence that expresses the main idea of an essay or paper. Your thesis statement will make a claim that directly answers the main question. 6. Topic sentence. A topic sentence is a sentence that summarizes the main idea of a paragraph. 7. Transition. Being as general as possible. To transition means to change. It's good to understand what each of these words mean, especially so that you can follow the instructions or requirements presented during your IELTS exam. And finally, let's look at the key expressions that can be used for writing an essay. As mentioned earlier, this is used to add information. As was previously stated, this is used to summarize. In conclusion, this phrase is also used to summarize. In contrast, this phrase is used to show contrast. On the other hand, this phrase is also used to show contrast. To sum up, and this phrase is used to summarize. These are your top common transition phrases that can be used for any type of essay writing. And that's a wrap on how to prepare for the IELTS essay. This was a quick lesson designed to help you make your essay sound fluent and fluid. Next, let's focus on the reading part of the IELTS exam and how you can get a high score on your IELTS reading exam. This part of the exam focuses on the students being able to read and comprehend a variety of academic texts. Let's begin by looking at note-taking strategies that you can use while reading a text. Research has shown that solid note-taking strategies can help a reader comprehend and retain what they have read better than just copying or highlighting. Consider the following strategies. Take notes from memory. Mark directly on the text, which means underline, circle, or highlight key words and key phrases. Annotate in the margins with symbols, abbreviations, or summaries of the text in your own words. And finally, you can use the Cornell style, which includes dividing a piece of paper into 3 sections. 1 section each for general notes, keywords and questions, and a brief summary. Next, we will look at some of the keywords that you may encounter during the reading part of the IELTS exam. These words are college, textbook, academic, material, scholarly, article, active reading strategies, note-taking strategies. I want us to focus on the following keywords. I will also explain what these words mean, as these words are bound to pop up during your exam. Abstract, a summary of a text, scientific article, document, speech, etc. Annotation, a critical or explanatory note or body of notes added to a text. Heading, a title or caption of a page, chapter, and so on. Subtitle, a secondary or subordinate title of a literary work, usually of explanatory character. Graph, a diagram representing a system of connections or interrelations among 2 or more things by a number of distinctive dots, lines, bars, and so on. Comprehension, the act or process of comprehending. We can say his comprehension of physics is amazing for a young student. It is also the capacity of the mind to perceive and understand. 7. Retain, to continue to have something or to keep possession of something. 8. Academic, relating to education and scholarship. Effective, successful in producing a desired or intended result. Solid, firm and stable in shape, not liquid or fluid. 11. Scholarly, concerned with academic learning and research. 12. Annotate, to add notes or a text or diagram, to give an explanation or a comment. 13. Preview, to see or inspect something before it is used or becomes generally available. And our last one is summarize, to give a brief statement of the main points of something. To help you prepare for this part of the exam, you can find a scholarly article in a textbook on a subject that is of interest to you. Practice some of the active reading strategies and note-taking strategies you have learned. Reflect on whether they have helped your comprehension and retention, and which you will use more regularly when reading complex texts. Now, let's move on to the final part of this lesson, which is listening. For this part of our lesson, I am simply going to provide 5 tips to help you achieve a high score for your IELTS listening exam. Let's begin with what you can do before the exam. Improve your general listening skills. The goal of IELTS listening is to test your listening skills. Don't use practice tests to improve your score. It's not enough. They will help you to become familiar with the test, yes, but they won't improve your listening abilities. It is much more effective to do various listening exercises, like listen to general listening materials like radio reports, TV shows, documented programs, and so on. And only after that should you do the IELTS listening practice tests. 2. Review your topic vocabulary. Part 3 of the exam is usually about education. It might not be, but it usually is. So an example is a student and the tutor speaking about an assignment or project. So try focusing on vocabulary that describes your journey at university or school. This way you will understand this section easier. 3. Try to get an idea of the context. Before each part, you will be given a short introduction. Example, now you will hear a dialogue between, or you will hear a lecture on. This information is not written on the question paper, so be attentive. Note, who are the speakers? Why are they speaking? And where are they? This will make understanding the rest of the recording much easier. 4. Listen out for transition words. Listen out for words like however, but, then, finally. They help you to anticipate what the speaker will say next. And finally, our final tip for the IELTS listening test is don't write your answers too quickly. A lot of students fall into this trap. As soon as they hear the needed information, they take it for the correct answer. But sometimes this information is repeated or corrected further in the section. So please make sure not to write your answers too quickly and be sure not to leave any blank answers in the exam. Remember, you do not get marked negatively. During the exam, you will just get a 0 for a wrong answer. You will not get a -1. So even if you don't know the answer, it is better to write something in the answers box rather than to leave it empty. Read the question again and just make a guess. And that's it, guys. A quick guide to the IELTS exam and everything you need to know to start preparing for the exam. If you found this video useful, then please hit the like button and share it with your friends and family. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for weekly English lessons and free live lessons. You can also follow me on Telegram if you are serious about improving your English. I update my Telegram channel daily with quizzes, vocabulary, and quick and exclusive English learning material. All the links can be found in the description of this video. Thank you for your time, and this is Ashley Hale with Level Up English signing out.